Well, hello, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. This is the time of year. If you are not in the Super Bowl, like Kansas City and the Eagles, you are working now to try and get there for next year. This is where you autopsy the body. You try and figure out what went right, what went wrong, what can we do differently to get a different result. And that should happen every year, and you should make changes accordingly that will get you in the right direction. Unfortunately, the Dallas Cowboys do none of the above. They continue to think, trust the process. We're the Cowboys. We're worth, all this money and so on, and think that we don't have to change. But, there's a lot of businesses out there that thought that they were going to be here forever, that they were the big company. Earl's Video, Blockbuster Video, Kmart, Sears, IBM, that all figured we are so big, we will always be there. But what they find out is if you're not able to change with the times and adapt, you become irrelevant. And that's the Dallas Cowboys. The players, former players that made the Cowboys America's team, they're fed up. They are calling out Jerry Jones left and right. Fans are sick of doing business as usual. We are sitting here at February 7th. February 7th. A little bit more. Actually, might as well say it's a month because there's only 28 days in the month. But we're less than 4 weeks away from free agency. Less than a month away from free agency. That's an opportunity to show that we are actually going to do things differently than we've done in the past. At the moment, though, it doesn't seem like we will. I hope we will. We have the opportunity. There are players out there that can help our team get better. We have players on our roster that help our team stay at least relevant, that are free agents. Right now, it's the last hurrah of the season until, of course, free agency opens up, which will be a whole nother ball of wax. Pat Mcafee with Clarence Hill Jr. at the Super Bowl talks about the shit holding the Cowboys back. Let's listen to him. And he's 100% right. When you talk about the tours while players are working out, the total income coming in for the tours is $11 million. Now, don't get me wrong. I'd love to get $11 million. But when you're talking about a business that's worth over $10 billion, is it really necessary to do the tours while they're working out?
Brown, man, how you doing?
I'm lucky to be at a Super Bowl. Now, first of all, I will say I see Clarence Hill Jr. on the internet. Very rarely get to see you in person. Great to see you.
I see you as well.
It is every time we get down here and celebrate another season at the Super Bowl, especially at Radio Row, we get a chance to see everybody. Like, I'm meeting people from so many different countries. I met somebody from Spain. I met somebody from Quebec. I met somebody from France. I met somebody from London. I mean, I've met so many people that cover the sport from all over the place. And then the young people that are covering the sport, and then all the mainstream media people. It's like, it's dope. We're very lucky to be here and thankful to be here.
No, we are lucky. Another year without the Cowboys, though. I mean,
Yeah.
When you grew up, I guess the Cowboys were America's team.
Yeah.
In the 90s, they were winning Super Bowl titles. Now it's going on 30 years since they last even been to the NFC Championship game, let alone the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
How surprising is that?
Yeah, you're much closer to the subject than I, so I would let you kind of break down the ins and outs of what you think it is. For me, I grew up in Pittsburgh, and, they were initially offered the moniker America's team And the Rooney family said we are Pittsburgh's team. We are not America's team. And then it was obviously Jerry Jones into a reality because everywhere you went there was Dallas Cowboys fans. Everywhere you went there's people that believed in the star. Everywhere you went, the biggest business was always the Dallas Cowboys business. I mean, sports media, we all see it. You talk about the Cowboys. Why do they talk about the Cowboys? Because the most amount of people watch whenever the Cowboys are being talked about. Like, that's like the TV science is what they say behind the scenes. So everything that Jerry's built, everything the Cowboys have become is certainly a absolute marvel whenever it comes to business-wise and branding-wise and everything like that. But I think there's some shit that's potentially holding them back.
Yes.
You know, I think there's some shit. You know, like the tours around the facility, whenever they're practicing
There you go.
or whenever they're working out, like that just seems counterproductive. That just feels like it is a little counterproductive. Now, it's obviously different to be a Cowboy. There's going to be a lot of distractions. You're going to be on prime time all the time. But just like random people walking through a building while you're trying to work is wild to me to think about. But I know it brings in $11 million a year.
$11 million a year.
Okay, so that's going to help the valuation and the business of it all. I just think there's like things like that that I didn't know could happen in an NFL building, but I guess they are.
You were a Pittsburgh guy. Mike McCarthy was a Pittsburgh guy. How surprised that they went on from Mike McCarthy to Brian Schottenheimer? Not an exciting, not a high-profile hire. Not a guy that anybody was trying to give an offensive coordinator job to, let alone a head coaching job.
Yeah, and obviously it came later in the cycle because Jerry made the decision to move on from Mike McCarthy and not offer another contract later in the coaching cycle. So Vrabel had already been hired and there had already been people off the board. Yeah. So obviously that was certainly questionable in it all. Mike McCarthy, I mean, he wins. He won. But whenever it became a question, I think people are like, well, wait a minute. Is this on purpose from Jerry? And then whenever it ends up going that way, it's a surprise. It's late. But then who are you going to hire? They heard Deion Sanders, potentially. I think people got jacked up about that.
Right, they did.
I think people got jacked up about that. I think Cowboys fans got very pumped up about potentially.
And the media.
Everybody got jacked up about Coach Prime going down into Jerry world to turn that thing into prime time again.
Right.
Yeah, I think everybody got real excited about that. Then Witten's name, I think, floated out there a little bit.
Yeah.
Then there was a couple others, I believe. Kellen Moore, maybe, because he had familiarity. So then when Shoddy gets a job after an incredible conversation with Jerry, obviously Cowboys fans seem to be a bit let down. I had a chance to be around Shoddy one year in Indianapolis. Obviously, his family grew up in the NFL. I think it's really hard to predict who's going to be a great head coach. I think there's a lot of failed head coaches in the NFL.
That is true.
I think that's why the hiring cycle is always as busy as it is. So I think Shoddy's been around it long enough. Will he be able to create a winner? TBD. But I like Shoddy. And I think Dak does and everybody does as well. We'll see how it goes.
Give Shoddy a chance. Give Shoddy a chance.
Give Shoddy a chance.
A shot and chance.
A shot and chance.
Yeah, Shoddy's a good guy.
Okay, give Shoddy a chance. Here's the thing, man. You are getting so many people that are beginning to open your eyes to what's going on with the Cowboys. The warning signs are there. You know, where there's smoke, there's fire. You got Dalton Schultz when he went to the Texans, talking about how the practices are different. You got Peyton Hendershot who did. You know, we had Cole Beasley. You know, the list goes on and on about other teams. They focus, their job is football. It's football. Other teams don't have tours while the players are working out. Other teams don't have their practice facilities, you know, in the middle of buildings that are literally leased out to companies. That all of this stuff, it's great for making money and expanding the brand, but does nothing to do with winning. And Jerry Jones, having his little fingers, as Pat McAfee would say, all over everything, has proven for 30 years they don't know what they're doing when it comes to winning in football. And I'm glad that everybody is finally calling out Jerry Jones, that maybe the shame and enough people disgracing them will be enough to change them. That's our only hope at this point. Super Bowl is Sunday. And I've been avoiding talking about it like the plague. We suck.